In the ancient desert lands of Rajasthan, there stood a massive black stone beside an old Shiva temple. For 20 long years, every morning before sunrise, an old man walked slowly toward that stone, carrying only a worn hammer in his hand. And then he struck it. Clang, clang, clang. The sound echoed through the quiet village like a ritual that never ended. The villagers had heard that sound for so many years that most of them no longer paid attention. Children laughed at him. Traveling merchants shook their heads in pity. Some people even whispered, "That old man is wasting the last years of his life on a useless rock." Because after thousands of hammer strikes, the stone still looked almost exactly the same. No crack, no visible change, no result. Only an old man growing weaker with time. But the next morning, he returned again. The same hammer, the same stone, the same silence. As if he was waiting for something nobody else could see. Until one fateful sunrise, with a single final strike, the massive stone suddenly shattered open, and hidden inside stood a breathtaking statue of Lord Shiva, as though the divine had been waiting there all along. After that morning, the sound of Dev's hammer became even more famous throughout the village. Clang, clang, clang. Every sunrise, the echo rolled across the desert winds of Rajasthan like a stubborn prayer refusing to die. Some villagers woke up annoyed by the noise. Others laughed quietly over morning tea. The old sculptor is still fighting with the same stone. Maybe he thinks Shiva himself is trapped inside it. Even children passing the temple mocked the old man now. They imitated the motion of his hammer and laughed among themselves. But Dev never became angry. He never defended himself. He never tried to explain what he was doing. He simply bowed respectfully toward the temple each morning, lifted the hammer, and continued. Clang. At first, Aarav still admired him. The young apprentice believed there must be some hidden wisdom behind Dev's endless labor. But as the years passed, that admiration slowly turned into frustration. Because nothing changed. The giant black stone still stood there exactly the same, cold, silent, unmoved. One evening after sunset, Aarav sat alone near the temple steps, watching Dev carefully clean his old tools. The oil lamps flickered softly beside them. Warm incense drifted through the evening air. Finally, Aarav spoke. "Master," Dev looked up gently. "Do you truly believe the stone will open one day?" Dev smiled softly. "It already has." Aarav frowned in confusion. "But nothing has happened." The old sculptor looked toward the moonlit temple quietly. "Just because your eyes cannot see movement does not mean transformation is absent." Weeks passed, then months, then years. Aarav grew restless. He watched his friends leave the village one by one to chase success in the cities. Some became merchants. Some became wealthy. Some returned wearing fine clothes and gold jewelry. Meanwhile, he remained beside an old man striking the same useless rock. One burning summer afternoon, Aarav finally exploded. "Enough!" His voice echoed through the empty temple courtyard. "How many more years will you waste? There is no crack. No sign, no progress. Your whole life is disappearing into this stone." Dev slowly placed the hammer down. For a long moment, he remained silent. Then he walked toward the massive rock and gently rested his wrinkled hand against its rough surface. "Come closer," he whispered. Aarav hesitated, then slowly stepped forward. "Place your hand here." Confused, Aarav obeyed. The stone felt warm from the afternoon sun. "What do you feel?" Dev asked quietly. "Nothing." Dev smiled. "That is because you are trying to feel with impatience." Aarav looked frustrated. "I don't understand." The old sculptor's eyes softened. "Impatient hearts only believe in visible results." "But life changes in silence first." That night, a powerful sandstorm swept across Rajasthan. Strong desert winds howled around the village. Temple bells rang wildly in the darkness. Most villagers locked themselves indoors. But Aarav noticed something strange. Even during the storm, Dev sat peacefully outside the Shiva temple, eyes closed, hands folded, completely calm. The next morning, Aarav approached him quietly. "Aren't you afraid?" Dev opened his eyes slowly. "Of what?" "Failure." The old man smiled gently. "Failure only exists for those who abandon their dharma." The young apprentice fell silent. Then Dev continued softly. "If Bhagwan placed this stone before me, then my duty is not to question the timing. My duty is only to continue." Years continued passing. Dev's hair became thinner. His hands trembled more with age. Sometimes after striking the stone, he coughed heavily from exhaustion. Yet every morning before sunrise, he still appeared beside the rock. Clang, clang, clang. The villagers no longer mocked him loudly anymore. Now they mostly pitied him. One woman whispered sadly near the market, "The poor old man gave his entire life to a dream that will never happen." But deep inside, Aarav no longer felt certain, because despite the silence of the stone, there was something unshakable inside Dev, a kind of peace that could not come from madness, only faith. One winter evening, Aarav finally confessed what had been weighing on his heart for years. "I want to leave the village." Dev nodded gently. "You believe your future is somewhere else?" Aarav lowered his eyes. "I believed in the stone once, but now, I think I was only believing in you." The temple bells rang softly through the cold evening air. For a long time, Dev said nothing. Then he pointed toward the giant black stone. "Do you know why most people fail in life?" Aarav shook his head. "Because they stop one strike too early." The young apprentice looked toward the stone in silence. Dev continued softly. "People quit relationships before trust grows. They abandon prayers before healing arrives. They escape difficult seasons before wisdom forms. They want fruit without surviving the roots." The wind moved gently through the temple courtyard. "Patience is not waiting passively," Dev whispered. "Patience is continuing faithfully while nothing appears to change." The next morning, something unusual happened. As the first golden sunlight touched the temple walls, Dev walked toward the stone more slowly than usual. His body looked weaker, his breathing heavier. Aarav rushed toward him. "Master, please rest today." But Dev simply smiled. "Not today." He lifted the hammer with trembling old hands. The villagers watched quietly from a distance, some out of curiosity, some out of pity, others because they sensed something different in the air that morning. Dev closed his eyes briefly before the stone, almost like a prayer. Then, clang! The sound echoed loudly across the village. Nothing happened. Dust drifted softly into the wind. Dev lifted the hammer again. Clang! Still nothing. Aarav's heart sank. The villagers shook their heads. But Dev raised the hammer one final time, and this time, with every remaining ounce of strength in his aging body, he struck the stone. Clang! Suddenly, crack! A deep fracture shot across the center of the giant black rock. The earth itself seemed to tremble. Gasps filled the temple courtyard. Another crack appeared, then another. The massive stone began splitting apart before everyone's eyes. Dust exploded into the morning sunlight. And slowly, as the rock opened completely, something breathtaking emerged from within. A magnificent statue of Lord Shiva, perfectly carved, peaceful, divine. The villagers stood frozen in complete silence. Some immediately folded their hands in prayer. Others burst into tears. Children stared with wide eyes. Even the wind itself seemed to stop moving for a moment. Aarav looked at the statue in disbelief. Its face carried extraordinary serenity.
as though Shiva had been hidden inside the stone all along, waiting patiently to be revealed. Tears slowly filled Aarav's eyes. Master, the final strike. It created the miracle. Dev smiled gently. No, my son. The final strike only revealed what 20 years of patience had already prepared. Aarav's entire body trembled, because suddenly he understood. Not only the stone, but life itself. His failures, his delays, his confusion, his unanswered prayers. Maybe nothing had ever been stuck. Maybe invisible cracks had been forming all along. Dev slowly sat beside the broken stone, exhausted but peaceful. Then he looked toward Aarav with compassionate eyes. People think transformation happens suddenly, he whispered. But the divine works quietly, silently, patiently, long before human eyes can recognize it. The morning sun illuminated the Shiva statue beautifully. Temple bells began ringing across the village. Dev continued softly. A tree grows roots before fruit. A river carves stone through persistence. And the soul transforms in hidden seasons first. Aarav knelt before his master with tears running down his face. I understand now. Dev smiled warmly. No, you have only begun understanding. The young apprentice lowered his eyes humbly. For the first time in his life, he no longer wanted quick success.
He no longer wanted immediate answers. Because now he understood something most people never learn. Divine timing is slow, because it is building something strong enough to last. The villagers gathered flowers around the Shiva statue that entire day, and by evening, the temple courtyard had transformed into a place of deep peace. But the greatest transformation was not the stone. It was Aarav. Because the impatient young man who once wanted to abandon everything had finally learned how to trust the process of life. That night, beneath a sky filled with stars, Aarav sat beside Dev outside the temple steps. Master, what if someone listening to this story feels tired of waiting? Dev looked toward the night sky quietly. Then he answered, tell them this. If life feels silent, do not assume Bhagwan has abandoned you. Some miracles are simply taking root beneath the surface. The old sculptor closed his eyes peacefully. Even the hardest stone breaks when the time is right. And somewhere in the cool Rajasthan night, the temple bells echoed softly through the wind, like a reminder from the divine itself. Never abandon your path, just because the miracle has not appeared yet.